Please note, this movie contains some racially sensitive portrayals and elements which may not align with commonly accepted attitudes of our modern era. Discretion advised. Welcome back to Movie Recap. We will view today a sci-fi film directed by John Sayles starring Joe Morton, the brother from another planet. The movie begins with the alien, played by actor Joe Morton, crash landing on Earth in Ellis Island. He crawls out of his ship severely injured, having lost half of a leg. Using his alien powers, he cauterizes the wound and hops off to explore the area. He finds himself in a seemingly abandoned building and realizes that whenever he touched the various places, such as the wall or a bench, he could hear conversations from people that had been there before. The sounds began to overwhelm him, and he screams without sound as he was mute. The scene changes under the alien who looked out over the city he was about to enter. His foot had grown back, making it obvious he was an alien as he only had 3 toes. Disheveled and looking like a homeless person, he entered the city and walked around until he found a shoe in a garbage bin. He continued walking till he heard music and then he hid. He now found himself in the city of Harlem with many people round and about. He stopped at a Chinese shop and took up a fruit from the stall outside and ate. The owner came out and chastised him for stealing. Realizing he needed money to get the fruit, he went into the shop and opened the cash register with his powers, took out some cash, and handed it to her for the fruit. She, however, called the police on him. He ran away and hid, realizing the authority figure. Further down the street, after seeing an artwork of Jesus nailed to the cross and thinking this is what they would do to him if they caught him, he continued evading the police till he came to a bar. In the bar was a young guy named Fly who was playing a video game about spaceships and aliens. He kept quarreling that the game was broken. The conversations in the bar obviously perplexed him as they were about things he knew to be true: aliens, spaceships, and the like. The patrons and owner of the bar, Odell, kept trying to engage the alien in conversation, not knowing he was mute. Fly continued trying and failing to play the game because it was broken. The scene changed to a loud woman complaining about the problems she was experiencing in completing her business. Back at the bar, the patrons, one by the name of Smokey in particular, kept trying to find out the issue with the alien who came in looking like just a regular brother. He eventually concluded that the brother was crazy. A guy named Sam came into the bar and Smokey suggested he do something about the brother. Sam proposed that they either send him to a men's shelter or call the cops. Eventually, he went over to him and tried engaging him into a conversation, teaching him how to respond with yes and no. Fly kept complaining about the game, and the brother then used his alien abilities to fix it, startling everyone. All were dumbfounded and curious as to how he fixed the game. Sam, with suggestions from Odell, then sought to make arrangements for the brother. Somewhere he could stay, and about getting a job where he could fix things. He brought him to a woman that had a little boy there with her. The woman was very frank and spoke a lot. The little boy showed the brother a cut that was covered with a Band-Aid on his foot. He healed the little boy's cut, making it as good as new. The talkative woman gave him some clean clothes to put on and continued her incessant talking about the boy's father, who left her alone in the situation she was in. The scene changed to 2 men looking at pictures of the brother, who then walked off seemingly in search of him. Back at the house, the boy's grandmother arrived and questioned who the brother was. The boy's mother told her he was harmless. The next day, Sam took the brother to a game repair shop to see if he could fix the machines that weren't working. He was given the chance to do what he did best and started off fixing the machines with his alien abilities. Now at the bar, Smokey and another patron, Walter, conversed about the city Harlem once was, while Fly, as usual, played his game. The 2 men searching for the brother entered the bar and asked Odell about his whereabouts. They both behaved very weirdly, each drank a beer on the rocks and left, learning nothing new about the brother as no one would tell them anything. Back at the game shop, the owner came in to check on the brother and found that he had fixed all the game machines. He left him in charge of the shop until he returned. While there, he sped up a game for one of the frequent persons always in the shop, making her day as she thought the games were much too slow. The brother left work and went on the subway train where a young boy tells him a story while showing him a magic trick. The scene changes and another pair of white guys walk down the road. They had found themselves lost in Harlem. They came upon the bar where the brother and the regular patrons were. They asked the brother for directions to the subway and tried starting up a conversation with him. But of course he was mute and couldn't effectively respond. They talked for hours until it was 8 p.m. and they had devoured many drinks. Odell gave them the directions they sought and sent them on their way. He then told the brother about the 2 men that came looking for him. Frightened, the brother ran home only to be robbed of his day's earnings by two thugs in the hallway of the building he was staying in. They cut him and left him there. He quickly healed himself. Back at Sam's office, Sam questions if the brother had come in while he was at lunch, to which his coworker responded negatively. The scene changes back to the brother who was wiping a car glass. He then walks down the street and notices the poster of a beautiful woman. He starts now to notice all kinds of beautiful women on all kinds of posters all over the place. He seemed to start realizing new feelings in him, and that very night, he brushed out his hair and went to see the girl he had ogled on all those posters. He wasn't able to get into the club, though, because he didn't have any money. Later, as he walked down the street, he saw a young boy run out from an alleyway. He walked over to where the boy came from and saw the body of another young boy who had seemingly overdosed on drugs. He tasted some of the boy's drugs and got very high. It being too much for him to handle, he passed out on the street. He awoke to a Rastafarian guy named Virgil talking to him, offering to guide him. Virgil told him about the offerings of the nightlife and how the people there were being oppressed by capital. He offered him weed to smoke. Virgil awoke the next day, barefoot, lying on the street. He quickly put on a pair of socks he found on a line and began to walk. He then heard some music as he passed a wall full of graffiti and felt so moved by it that he cut himself just so he could draw. The scene changed, and the two white men in black that had been looking for him at the bar days before now showed up at his place of work. They again left empty-handed, though, as no one told them anything. The brother walked through a white man's shop and used his powers to fix all the man's appliances on the counter. The man paid him for it, and he left. It was now a new day, and the brother and the little boy that lived with him walked around a museum. Meanwhile, back at his apartment, the white men in black questioned the boy's mother about his whereabouts and asked her if she had ever looked at his feet. The scene changed again, and the brother had now finally made it into the club to listen to the girl he had looked at on the poster. He was mesmerized by her beautiful singing. In his own way, when she came to sit beside him, he told her that. She tried to use the brother to put off her boss who was trying to get with her. Luckily for brother, though, she liked him and took him back to her hotel that night, and they got intimate. The scene changed to the two white men in black, now perceived to be aliens because of how they reacted when they found the wall he had drawn on with his own blood. Back at the hotel, they both got dressed, and she told the brother he was good in bed and that she hoped to see him whenever she came back into the city. The brother, having now left, walked by a basketball court where a ball came his way. He shoots the ball towards the hoop and scores. He then noticed one of the guys that had robbed him and cut him from the other night. He sat on some steps, and a police officer came up and sat beside him and started talking with him. Knowing his aversion to the police, he got up and walked away. He ensured, however, to leave one of his eyes on the lookout. The two white men in black then visited Sam's office, where they were again turned away without being told anything. The brother went home and was told he couldn't stay there anymore. He wished the little boy goodbye and then left and collected his eye. He reviewed the images his eye had seen while it was left on lookout and saw again the young guy who had robbed him, leaving a building he had entered earlier with another man. The brother used a newspaper one of the men had thrown into a trash bin to track their location. Having now found the guy, the brother went into a car and followed him. He found that the young guy made many stops throughout the day delivering something to all different types of people. The brother now found himself at a high-rise building but wasn't able to go all the way up because he didn't have an appointment. The brother now found himself back at the bar, defeated because he never found out what the guy was doing. Shortly after he entered, however, the aliens in black who had been hunting him entered the bar. The brother faced them, and the bar patrons tried to help him out, but they were no match for the aliens. The brother threw projectiles at them, and then Smokey and Walter helped him to escape. The brother went back to the high-rise and made his way up to the office he had tried to access earlier in the day. He met with a man who seemed to be the person in charge of the drug operation. The man, well clad in his suit, seemed to be afraid of the brother and tried to pay him off. The brother put his eye in the man's hand and showed him what his drugs had been doing, then opened the bag of drugs he was trying to pay him off with and put it over his face. The brother exited the building and was immediately captured by the aliens who had been after him. He quickly escaped, however, and they began to chase him. The brother ran and formed an alliance with a group of black people that stood ready to fight. The aliens then ran away, trying to escape the horde of people now running after them. They eventually realized they couldn't win and quickly zapped themselves away. The brother then realized that the horde of black people he had formed an alliance with seemed to be aliens themselves. One in particular looked just like him. The brother leaves on the A train, and the movie ends with him standing by the basketball court in his city, Harlem. This was a heartwarming yet comical movie that followed the life of a mute alien who made Harlem his home. I definitely recommend it. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you love it, subscribe for more.